Get ready to hear from Ms. Keyzom as she unravels the groundbreaking notion of reimagining systems as globally connected ecosystems. Let's hear a big round of applause for Keyzom.
Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. A pleasure to be here among legends, legends that are present throughout this room. So I'm a very curious person. Anyone who knows me at my work, constantly asking questions, constantly questioning status quo. And my curiosity has a direction of travel or a target or a question that I asked again and again, and that is, what can the UN's, the United Nations' largest development agency, the United Nations Development Program, bring to the table for this next billion endeavor that has started? For those of you who are not familiar with the United Nations, I'm with you. I'm still learning every day after, 15 years with a few startup stints in between. And the United Nations Development Program is present in 172 different countries. It does digital programs along with other multilaterals in 130 countries, and we have teams of 30 to 200 people across all these countries. And my question really is, how do we channel this infrastructure, this gateway to the world, to create value, to solve problems, not create problems? So now I'm obviously not going to take, be a stereotypical UN official and take the moral high ground and say that technology must work in service of society. You all know this better than I do. You live it every day. India has been leading the way, including as a member state of the United Nations, really kind of shaping the conversations around technology and its role in meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. Instead, I wanted to say that at the UN, we believe, and increasingly so across our policy briefs, across the things that the Secretary General is prioritizing, is that our biggest hope of accelerating our global goals, our sustainable development goals, is going to be our collective ability to reimagine systems as connected ecosystems. What do I mean by that? In today's world, we see solutions for climate change, for access to clean drinking water, for access to finance, open bank accounts, get an ID. But all this requires innovation at a global scale, at a billion-plus scale. But across countries, across sectors, and across stakeholders, across organizations, we have many different systems that are designed as systems apart, that are not visible part of the wider infrastructure of services, of resource flows, and so on. Similarly, if we look at smart city projects or local government digitization programs, world and world over, you will see this again and again, or even health services, they are not integrating to make lives easier for the billion-plus people. And that is where the power of open networked ecosystems come. We heard about the gig workers, millions of them in India, I believe about close to 7 million or more. Will the benefits of Social Security reach them? Will their identity or bank accounts be accepted across borders when they work beyond the borders of one jurisdiction? Or imagine a woman who is, receiving cash transfers from government, remittances from her husband who is working in the UAE, who has to make payments for her children's school, try to get a loan to, buy goods for her kirana shop. These are 5, 6 different institutions and their systems. How can we make it easier for her? How can we re-engineer how service is delivered to make it easier for her? And then we've heard this call to action for climate and energy. And we are seeing this again and again that, especially if you're growing commodities like coffee, tea, cocoa, that there's lack of data, as everyone says. Then everyone starts collecting the same data. And then the data that's being collected, such as the nationally determined contributions under the various global compacts, are being collected, but they're not part of any shared infrastructure or shared data exchanges that limits our ability to assess targets, measure progress, and create opportunities of innovation scale at population scale, at billion plus scale. So how can we really then unlock even things like climate finance or carbon credits and so on? So with this, I think I can safely say that over and over again, we're seeing the same sets of questions being asked. And I'm not going to be the first person to notice or even say that we are seeing fragmentations of solutions and systems. And that is leading to fragmentation of effort, of funding, of resources. And of course, as the UN, as multilateral organizations, we are also a big part of that problem. We have overlapping teams, projects, information in silos, redundant spending, and so on. But we can improve how we function by creating shared public infrastructure that's suited to a variety of problems rather than just solving one. This is why the power of digital public infrastructure is so tremendous, is critical. And many of you are, of course, aware of the groundbreaking consensus under the India presidency that the G20 agreed. I mean, it's really, really remarkable. India stewarding 20 of the largest economies to collectively support the increasing demand for shared digital public infrastructure for connected ecosystems. And I really just want us to take a moment and give a round of applause because it's Anjali, you were mentioning this, in its unique style, in its authentic way, the Indian government led the negotiations where it was a friend of everyone, all the nations. But this success is also as much yours for everyone in this room who've been doing this for decades. A decade plus, and definitely for the last 5-6 years. And within the context of the G20 achievements, we also had the India presidency introduce the concept of the One Future Alliance. And the focus of the alliance is where we have the greatest possibility of impact, of the greatest possibility of, building bottom up these shared ecosystems, and that is country level. Because it's not just about ID or payments or about, different solutions and systems. It's about political leadership. It's about various systems that are going to come together. It's about process re-engineering, and it's about frugal innovation. So, I just want to say that, we talk about billion plus people in India, but as we think about the world, we have 20% of the countries of the 93 member states and territories of the UN that have less than 1 million people. 55% of that have less than 10 million. And the G20 presidency, and with it the emerging concept of the One Future Alliance, really is about this understanding that the world is one family, the Vasudevan Kutumbakam theme of the G20. And really, as we travel this journey, I challenge you and I challenge us at the UN that as we come together, that we have to set anti-goals, what we don't want things to be, initiatives to be, or this One Future Alliance to be. We have to take the best of each of our organizations, and that includes the UN. We have to think of change in not just 2x, but 10x increments. And in this, I'm so happy, so privileged that we have some very important collaborators and sparring partners with whom we challenge what are the frictions in the process, what's the frictions from, here is a set of amazing technology, amazing expertise, amazing innovation to a set of countries where there's huge demand. What's the adoption frictions between that supply and demand, and how are we going to come together in this concept of the One Future Alliance or Vasudevan Kutumbakam? We also have Mr. Sushil Pal, who just walked in. He was the lead negotiator of the India G20 presidency on digital public infrastructure. A round of applause for him. With this, thank you so much. It's a great privilege.
Thank you, Keyzom. Thank you for leading us through how we can re-engineer systems as connected ecosystems.